Well, hello there. I'm Nusha, also known as Ferocious and Pretty Pens, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, we talk about all things related to fountain pens, hand lettering, penmanship, artsy-fartsy stuff. We do reviews, we do basically whatever I feel like filming at the moment. If you're returning, glad to have you back. I'm so glad I still haven't scared you off and you're returning for more of this. For today, we are going to be reviewing a Van Dieman's Ink Black Tongue Spider Orchid. If you haven't seen my very first video, which was me filming an entire ink one-pager, which is something I do for every ink that's in my collection, I will post it up here. We're going to go with up here. It might be up here, but we're going to bet on up here. It's a 50-50 chance I get it right. Fingers crossed. I'll link the video here if you want an in-depth overview of what that process is and how I do it and all of that stuff. For this video, what I'm going to do that's a little bit different than that video, I'm going to start cutting back on the entirety of the process and speed through more of it than I did in my very first video. Just because honestly, how many times can you see me write with Waterman number 12 or swap Lamy nibs and all of that stuff? So I'm gonna speed through it, but what's different about this video that I didn't do in the last one is, one, I will show you a comparison of what this ink looks like on Rhodia paper, which is my normal paper for the ink one-pagers, as well as 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. We'll also do an entry into the Inkcyclopedia for this ink, and we'll flip through and see what colors this ink might be comparable to in inks I've tried or own. So if you're interested in that, keep watching. Ooh, okay. So before I do the flex nib writing, I can tell you that this ink is very wet. Hold on a second, let me adjust some settings here to get it a little bit brighter so that you can see what I'm seeing. Do you see how it looks like the ink is literally about to bloop off of the nib? I think this is going to be a recipe for disaster, my friends. Yeah. Okay, that was a close call. It blooped. And it's blooping some more. What a black tongue spider orchid looks like. Thank you, Peter Tonelli, for this amazing photograph. So I want to show you all how the ink shows up differently on Rhodia versus Tomoe River paper. The base color is the same between the two. You see shading across the board. But the one major difference that I see, other than the whole feathering issue on Rhodia with the color itself, is that on Tomoe River, you get this super rich, deep, dark color. It's like this broody, mysterious version of the original color. And I think why that that is because it sits on top of the paper instead of seeping in the way that it does on Rhodia, and it just looks a lot richer. On Tomoe River, you don't see any of the feathering that you see on Rhodia. You see also a nice distribution of color with brush lettering on Tomoe River that you don't really see on Rhodia. It tends to pool into those mysterious, deep, dark, colorful areas versus, again, on Rhodia, it just seeps into the page. What I like to do now is I like to pull this guy up and start to look to see what are the similar inks that I have tried or own. And I think it's in this family. This is like the burgundy-ish winey family. It's very similar to, so I'm looking at this. These two look pretty close, Elderberries and Thomas Alva Edison, but they're a little bit more red. So let's keep looking and seeing. Same thing with Tyrian Purple, which has a little bit more red in it. Let me keep looking. Private Reserve Arabian Rose, not enough purple. Monteverde Rose Noir, close but more pink. Maybe the base color of Frosted Orchid. Ha ha ha. That looks pretty close if you take out the sparkle factor. So my final thoughts on this ink are that it's a gorgeous color. I think that it looks amazing, especially on Tomoe River paper. You get to see the complexity of the shading from lighter to darker because of how it pulls on that paper. Now, is this like other inks that I've tried? The color, yes, in that there are similarities with Diatramentis Elderberries and Diatramentis Thomas Alva Edison. It is similar to the base color from what I could tell of Dieman Frosted Orchid, minus the shimmer, of course. And it does have remnants of Monteverde Rose Noir. Now, if I were to, be forced to choose between this ink and Monteverde Rose Noir, I'm probably going to pick Monteverde Rose Noir just because I really love that color. It's a good solid ink. But this is not like any of the other colors that I actually own. If you have the colors I mentioned, the Diatramentis as well as the Diamine Shimmertastic, you might be able to get away with not getting this ink. Other than that, I have a little bit of hesitation in making a blanket statement of just recommending this ink to everyone because I think it's a pretty color. The reason being, it's a super wet ink. If you're not a fan of gushing ink and your pens are already wet writers, this might not be for you. But if you have a pen that is constantly having issues with being really, really dry and you haven't found another ink that can help it out, this might be the solution to that. What I will do is I will be making a page of ink swatches of the things that I think are as similar to this as I can find, like what I showed you during this video, and I'll throw it on Instagram so that you can have a resource to look at that's a still photo that will be color corrected to be as close to this as possible. I'm still trying to figure out my lighting and color correcting for these types of videos, as well as my sound. So if any of that stuff is off, please know I'm working on it. This is all still very new to me. But I digress. If you want to see how that looks in a still photo that's color corrected, check out my Instagram at Ferocious and Pretty Pens. I'll post it pretty quickly after this video goes live along with the ink one pager. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you are not already subscribed, please join us. Join this not cult of people doing things with fountain pens and fountain pen inks. I'm sorry, that got really awkward. I don't know what my problem is. Anyway, with all that said, don't forget, keep writing. Nusha and Nusha. Nush. Nusha. Nusha. Shasha. Shisha. Shasha. Shoo. Shishi. Shishi. Shh. Special guest appearance by Stella Star, who has the most jagged nails known to man. Okay. And give you judgmental looks. Okay. And give you judgmental looks. And give you judgmental looks. Cat hair. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. I just want your extra time and your kiss.